right, Miss Charlotte, we are now live. So anybody just logging in, Rachel's here already. Hi, Rachel.
Hi,
So
Rachel.
anybody new to lives, hi, T.O., please know that we can't see you or hear you unless you make a comment. So make a comment, say hello, talk to each other if you want to talk to each other, or if you want to be a fly on the wall, that's okay too. Hey, Cheryl, look at this. Anna's hopping in. So thank you. This is
Nice.
awesome. So we
Hello.
have Charlotte, who is a phenomenal lender. More importantly, she is a phenomenal human, and I have had the pleasure to be on some of her journeys and chapters in life. So, Charlotte, share who you are before I ask you to share a story.
Sure. Hey, this is Charlotte Harrell. I am a lender. That is my third thing. I'm also a wife, a mother, then a lender, and then a huge animal lover. So if you put everything together, what I focus on my day, there you have it. I have been in lending for over 20, I think it's almost 24 years. I don't want to do that math right now, but a long
I know.
time. Yeah, for a long time. I've seen many, many seasons in mortgage lending. But I'm a lover of life and love my job, love what I do. And it's just a ton of fun.
Yeah. And I love that you have 4 dogs in your house right now.
I have 4 dogs in my house right now. Yes. So if it goes crazy in the back, my husband is like, "Hey, I'm gonna go help your mom put up Christmas lights." I'm like, "No, I need you for 30 minutes, please." Babysit the dogs.
Babysit the dogs. Yes. And I've got my Charlie right here ready to participate if they jump in.
I love it.
Amanda, glad to see you here. Everybody that's hopping in, thank you so much. And don't forget to ask any questions you want to ask. So I'm going to ask you to share a story, right? We all write chapters in our life, good chapters, sad chapters, funny chapters. How did you get into lending so many years ago?
So many years ago. So when I was a wee little baby at 18, I worked at a mobile home. Let me take that back. I was 19. I worked at a mobile home dealership as a receptionist. So I literally answered the phone. I was horrible at this job because it required like filing. I am not an organized person, but this was my job. But I ended up being the person that would take people around and sell the mobile homes because I figured out I was actually better at that, even though I wasn't commissioned. But there was this guy that would come in, and his job was he was the liaison between the lender that did the loans for the mobile homes and the salespeople. And he would come in and just, "Hey, what's up? Pat everybody on the back. Let me look at that credit. Oh, I think we can make this work if you do this and this." And he just schmoozed, right? He was like this kind of outgoing, fun personality. He was making these relationships and getting them to send these loans to his company rather than the other companies.
Yeah.
And I remember I was like, what? I want that job. I could do that job. I want that job. So I went home, and like 6 months later, I'm sitting on the couch talking to my aunt, my husband's at the time sister. I'm like, "What do you think I would need to major in to go into this?" And she's like, "I don't know, marketing. Who knows?" Okay, fast forward 6 more months, I see this ad in the paper, and it's like, mortgage loan officer will train became Citibank, but it was a true hard money, bad credit, like finance company lending. But you know what? They said they trained me.
Yeah.
So like, this is kind of close, right? I'm doing mortgages. It wasn't the account executive that this guy was. So I get into it and I found a niche. Like, this was my thing. It was fixing problems. And you know me, I'm that firefighter. I really like to go out there and fix all the problems. So it allowed me to do that. And then they went through some changes. So the cool part of the story, I'm getting here, this is kind of a fun how the universe works, right? So they went through some changes. They ended up closing that branch. They downsized when City Financial bought them. And I ended up working in Nashville. And then they were going to combine that branch. And they came to me. They're like, "Hey, I know this is a further drive for you," because I lived an hour away already. They're like, "We have 2 options. You can come run this branch and do what you're doing, but to be the manager of this branch in South Nashville, which is about an hour and a half. Or if you want to move, we've got this position. It's called an account executive. And what you do is you go to all the mortgage brokers and you tell them about our services and you get them to use us." And I just sat back and I went, "No freaking way." 2.5 years ago, I'm sitting on this couch going, "I want to do what this guy does." And it just plop, falls in my lap.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
that's what I did for about 10 years.
Nice. So there's a lesson in there with throwing out into the universe what you want to do.
Absolutely. Yep. It just, I kind of said, this is what I want. I knew this was going to be what I was good at. And there you go. I had the right inclination because I've been in this line of work since then. With a
For just a few years.
Yeah, 1.5 year hiatus during the 2008 and 9 fiasco.
Sure. Yeah.
Which is a whole nother story in itself.
That's a whole nother story. So how did you, so for those of you who remember 2008, 2009, lending, real estate industry kind of fell apart and people are getting foreclosed on and short sales on their homes. How did you survive that? What did you do?
Man, talk about dark spaces. So you had asked me, so what was one of the best times or worst times of your life? And I was like, well, can I put those together? Because the worst time turned into the best time. So I lost everything. I mean, everything. So I lost my job times 4 because I went from one company and that company closed. So I went to the next company and that company closed. So it was basically like I was selling televisions and televisions just disappeared off the planet. That's basically what happened. So, I had a husband at the time and he was in the mortgage industry as well. So talk about all eggs in one basket. So we had financial hardships, which ended in a divorce. So we lost our house. I lost everything. I can't tell you how it was going from 200,000 a year income to 30 because I had nowhere to go and nothing to do. So 3 kids to raise, going through a divorce. It was dark days. It was horrible. So I didn't handle it real well. I definitely went into kind of a spiral of grossness. So I'm gonna tell my favorite story. So this is my favorite story, and I will try not to cry, but I do oftentimes when I tell this story.
That's okay. You got Kleenex. You're okay.
There you go.
Use your sleeve. That's okay too.
Right. So during this time, again, 3 kids, young children, going through the divorce. My job, what I went to go do, was to go work at a sales training and coaching business. It was called I'm not going to remember right now. That's okay. But it was Sandler. There we go. Sandler Sales, which is a very national renown. People buy into it. So I was one of his coaches. And did I mention I was at a really low time in my life? Tanya can probably attest to this. When you're having a really low time, it's kind of hard to build others up. So I had literally had an electric bill that had just come into the mail and I had no money for it. Nothing. I was commission only, probably not doing the best at this job. If I had to guess, I really was a miserable sales coach at this time in my life. Just guessing.
Yeah.
So I got this bill. I was going to have to go into like a check into cash, seriously, to go get this. And I'm like, can I even get that? I don't have a paycheck. Like they want to see a paycheck. So my electricity is going to get turned off in my house. I'm driving down this big road and I was supposed to go and speak to a group of about 8 people about how to sales funnel your business. It was a new group and I was trying to get some people to sign up for coaching. And I am bawling, like driving down the road, just full on bawling in the car, screaming at God. Have you ever had that moment where you're just like, what the F? I mean, I don't understand. Like, it was not it wasn't a mad at God. It was I've done this to myself. Like, no, I can't even be worthy of God's love. I'm worthless. I have ruined 2 marriages. I have 3 kids that I can't support. I don't have income. I have no job. I didn't end up going to college because this all just happened to happen in my life and I got ahead of myself, right?
Yeah.
So it wasn't I hate you, God. It was like, God, I'm not worthy of love. And so I drive down the road and I literally had scratched up, I needed caffeine. I'd scratched up enough for like a regular coffee from Starbucks. We're not talking about the expensive coffee, like a cup of coffee. And I was like, dang it, I'm going to get a cup of coffee. So I pull into the Starbucks. I go through the drive-through and I order a just regular old coffee for, I think it was a whole whopping $1.40 back then, right? So I'm scraping together $1.40 for my coffee so I can go do this thing. And I pull up and the woman hands me my coffee and she says, the lady in front of you paid for your coffee. I was like, what? She goes, yeah, she just said God loves you. Like we're talking the difference between going through that drive-through when I was screaming at the universe was 3 minutes, right? 3 minutes. So I go through the drive-through and I mean, at this point, we're just talking whoosh. I was crying before. Now this relief of holy crap, there's a universe. And that was a touch. That was the universe talking to me and saying, you are worthy. You aren't a loser. You aren't this horrible person. And I was like, I can't even I couldn't even talk. I was blasted. But you know what? I went into that next sales call feeling really good because I'm like, I am worth it, daggum.
Somebody paid for my coffee and said,
somebody got my coffee and said, and somehow the universe told them to say just that to me, which is just the timing. I couldn't make this stuff up. It was so good.
No.
So it was hard. I went through 2 years. That was not the end all. That's not when my life just suddenly changed. I went through 2 years of hardship and struggling and figuring out how to raise kids on no income, by myself. So it was hard, but that was the point that I quit hating myself.
Yeah.
I didn't hate myself anymore after that, because if I'm worthy of that love, then I'm worthy of something, right? If the universe if I'm important enough for the universe to have that little baby touch in that time of need, then it's good. So please know, I do pay for coffee behind me at least 10 times a week now. But yeah, so then, I got through it. I figured out a way. I learned how to live a little bit smaller. And then I came back in 2010. I got back in, tiptoed back in, because none of the other jobs were fulfilling me the way lending did. Lending feels, I was built to be a lender. I don't know how to better say that. It just fits all of who I am. It does. So I got back in, and I've been very happy. And it's my goal now to, 1, make sure that person behind me in Starbucks feels loved. And then 2, take with me that you gotta take that dialogue out, that I'm not worth it dialogue. I know Tanya and I have talked about that a couple of times. So take that dialogue out of your day so that you can see the goodness around you and grow from there.
Yeah. When I coach, the first thing we coach on is mindset, right? And so I got somebody commenting, I need to follow you to work, LOL. Yes,
yes, you do.
So she's in the Nashville area. So when you're visiting, right?
Yes, come on in. Yes. So can I tell you a funny story about how this story has always been a powerful story to me, right?
Yeah.
Have you? I know some of you have probably read Bob Boudin's The Power of Who, right?
Yep. Great book.
It's a great book, and I was going to do a presentation on this a couple years back, and it said to know your why. My why is I want to retire. And don't laugh. Tanya knows this. I want to retire and open a coffee shop.
Yeah. See, and Teo says coffee is life.
That's it. There you go, Teo. That's right. Coffee is life and love and all kinds of things. So I want to, for the last 4 years, I'm like, I want to open a coffee shop that has like an off-leash dog park, because I love dogs, So I'm like, but that's my why. But why is my why? And in Bob Boudin's book, he's like, think about the happiest time or the worst time of your life, and you could probably find your why. And I was like, holy snap. The reason I want to open this coffee shop is because at the worst time in my life, which became the best time in my life, this person changed my life. So that person literally changed the entire course of my life.
Don't you wish you could figure out who it was?
I know, like back in 2009, right? That's exactly right.
Yeah. So those are just phenomenal stories, right? So, fun, your laughter, some tears. I mean, I raised 2 girls as a single mom when they became, I divorced when they were about 11 and 13, and my ex moved out of state. So, and I'm sitting there always, my income was discretionary, right? So, and so then all of a sudden he's gone, and I'm sitting in a house in Houston with 2 kids all by myself going, holy snap, this, I've got to make this happen. And I smile through it, and it was the best time of my life now. I mean, my kids saw an independent, fiercely driven woman raising them, but that's not how I felt when it was first happening.
No. Right. No. You're scared to death.
Sitting on the couch eating ice cream.
Right. No, it's hard. And it's hard to take the dialogue, because when you're sitting in that moment, there's that dialogue sometimes that like pops in, like the poor, pitiful me dialogue.
Yeah.
That doesn't get you anywhere. So finding the strength to be like, no, instead of poor, pitiful me, I'm going to do, like, you got to get that bounce. And you just got to flip the script on yourself sometimes. And and it's not like once and done. It's not a one and done thing.
No, it's not a one and done thing. So just a couple comments here. So Teo's all into developing your coffee model.
Awesome, Teo.
Right.
Let's get together. Teo, are you in California by any chance?
So I do know that Charlotte wants to end this model in California or start your franchise in California. So yes. So we have Karen Henson. So hey, Karen. So the power of $1.40. Really?
Isn't that amazing?
Isn't that amazing? Yeah.
And just a couple nice words. Pay it forward, man.
Yeah.
And I think that was before the movie, right? That movie came out in like 2011 or 12. That
way before the movie. Yeah.
So I felt that. I don't think anybody copied my story, but it is powerful. It's kind of cool to see. Pay for the person behind you in Starbucks, guys. Makes a difference.
Makes a difference. Yep. So any questions out there? So I mean, obviously lending is a hot topic right now, right?
I love solving problems. I love putting peace to some of this stuff. So ask away.
Yeah. So if you have any questions around lending for Charlotte, please go ahead. Teo's there's your next business partner, so he can open up a franchise right there in Washington State.
The place where coffee is that's where coffee is, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
One of my second favorite place on the planet, next to California.
So until I see a question, I have a question. What is your biggest struggle around lending right now?
Oh man.
Because obviously it's changing, right? We're not at the 2%, 3%. There's all kinds of chatter out there on the news. So what's your biggest challenge?
The biggest obstacle is beating the chatter. But it's weird because we've got the chatter that's like doom and gloom. But yet we have buyers that come to me thinking they're going to get 4% still. Like they're still living 60 days ago. And then when you have that hard conversation about what that monthly payment really looks like, it can be very shocking. So in all honesty, that creates, in the past, people weren't as shocked by the rate. So they kind of know baseline where it's going to be. They don't automatically just go try to shop you with every single lender out there. Well, you can imagine when they have this sticker shock, it's not 5%, it's 7% or 7.5% or whatever it is that day.
Yeah.
It has become harder to get loyal clients. So that's really tough. You have to have great partners that help explain that on the front end, good agents that prepare them for this conversation.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's really just the expectations. We have the one side that's super educated that doesn't call me because they're not going to buy because they're pretty sure the market's going to just completely crash. I don't know that I'm believing all that stuff. And then you have the other people that are living in the past and setting that expectation. So it's just a lot of conversations and a lot of awareness. And we've got to write the script right now because the people that get paid for the news, they want to write a script that is not as appealing and maybe not very realistic. And there's some scary things for sure.
Yeah,
I'm not
absolutely
saying but you've got to write your own script right now, and it's hard. It's definitely hard to get it up.
So Karen has a question. What would you say to a timid buyer right now? So I don't know if you want to be more specific with Karen, you can. So I'm thinking a timid buyer, meaning afraid of the interest rates, is what I'm thinking she means, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm very careful. I hear these people like, marry the property, date the rate. I mean, that sounds well and good, but do you have the crystal ball that says when the rates are going to get better? Because telling somebody that and they think it's going to be 6 months from now and then they're stuck and they can't afford it, that's not fair. So for the timid buyer, you want to find a lender that can sit down with them and say, okay, let's talk about let's look at your budget. Let's actually budget. Let's see what you can truly afford. Worst case scenario, because that's what we're looking at right now, right? We're looking at worst case scenario. We can't promise them when those rates are going to drop. They could be up for 2 years, 3 years. We don't know. I don't think so, but I can't promise you. And I'm not building promises that I can't cash in. I'm not doing it. So I would say, listen, I have got this lender that can absolutely look at your situation. Let's truly look at your budget. Let's put you in something that you can comfortably afford right now. It's a good time to buy. You know that the sellers are paying some closing costs now. You can get a little bit off. This is the time to buy in the price range that makes sense for you right now with today's rates. You get them approved at that. And then maybe we do tack on a 2-1 buy down. I know that's kind of hot, right? The 2-1 buy down. But I don't do the 2-1 buy down promising people that they're going to be able to refinance in 2 years. We need to look and see what can you afford at the worst case rate, right? Not what I say you can afford. That's not what's important. What can you truly afford? Let's talk about that. Let's get you into some cushioning for the first 2 years, and let's really talk about saving some money for year 3 and 4 during that temporary buy down time frame. So I'm not against doing those kind of fun things to help ease the pain, but you need a good lender who's going to sit down with them and talk about realistically, what can you budget? How are we going to live our life? Why it is a good time to buy, because right now is a good time to buy when it comes to getting, if you don't have a lot of cash in your pocket, now's a good time to buy. Sellers are paying these things. They're scared.
They're even allowing you to do home inspections now.
Absolutely. Can I tell you that I think sellers are more scared right now because of the unknown than maybe what they're going to be in 6 months when it kind of evens out, right? Maybe not, we're not down to here, but when it evens out and the market's not this crazy, oh, what's going to happen? Right now, the sellers are scared. They're going to take an offer. I'm seeing crazy offers, we're not talking like 50, well, maybe sometimes if they were overpriced, but I'm seeing seller paid closing costs, 2-1 buy downs covered being done, sellers fixing things on the house, people coming off of the asking price. It's a really good time to buy in the right price range.
It is.
So you just got to find the price range.
Absolutely. And I love, well, one of the things I admire and love about you and trust about you is that it's not what, yes, you can run their credit and do their, see what they're making and say, this is what you can buy, but that might not be what they want to buy or can budget to buy. And not all lenders do that.
Exactly.
I know.
Right.
Yeah.
Time. And
so
really
a couple of comments in here I want you to be able to see. So Teo says, I think it's best not to get hung up on rates so much. Focusing on sound underwriting plans. Yeah. What else? Yes, it's a phenomenal time to buy.
Going deeper than just the sound underwriting, because you know what? On FHA, I could still go up to like a 55% debt ratio, which is crazy to me. Like I would choke if I had a 55% debt ratio personally.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
So just because the underwriting guidelines say it's right, you got to go deeper than that. You've got to seriously know your clients. This is especially our first time and younger buyers that haven't done this before.
Yeah.
You really need to look at their budget and truly do it based on, first we look at what you can qualify for to make that sound, but then you've got to take it one step further and let's make it sure it's something you're comfortable with. Because if you're paying $1,500 a month in rent right now and we're taking you to $3,000, it's a little scary.
Yeah.
A little scary.
Yeah. Any other questions as we start to wind down? So Charlotte, there's always 2 questions I ask.
Yeah.
So we know what you're doing. We do know one of your next chapters is, starting a coffee shop, having phenomenal coffee, having it be pet friendly. So I'm thinking that you're going to answer that's your next chapter. But between that and now, is there another next chapter? Like give us a sneak peek into what's next for Charlotte.
Yeah.
If it's something different than coffee.
10, 12 years maybe on that coffee, because I have decided I want to move it to retirement. But the next chapter right now, I have found a place that speaks to my heart. I love having fun. I love unity and family. And you can see what I'm passionate about, right? Is like really making those relationships. So I'm going to build my little, I call it my kingdom. I know that's probably a little much, but I'm dramatic. So I call it my kingdom. I'm going to build my kingdom.
That we haven't figured out that your energy is amazing. So anyway, what does your little kingdom look like?
It's going to be in Tennessee and Kentucky, maybe Alabama. We're thinking maybe Alabama at some point. But for sure, Kentucky and Tennessee, finding like-minded loan officers. So I have made it my purpose to find people that treasure the same things that my company and me that we offer, and really building a team of those people that have the same core values. So that's what I'm doing.
Awesome. So I think Rachel asked, how did you make the leap from being a lender yourself? I know you've worked for different companies and now you're growing teams. So how did you decide to make that leap to go into teams?
So it happened because of my dream. I want to eventually be in California. I want to have my coffee shop. I kind of want to have, all the realtors are going to cringe when I say this, I want to have 6 second homes. I know that math doesn't exactly work, but I want to have second homes all over. And my idea is to eventually have these dog coffee shops in all of my favorite spots, right? Because I love to travel. So I was thinking like, what can I do in my mortgage industry? I can't do mortgages in California because my company's not licensed there. Yeah. So the owner of my company, knowing my dream, came and, or the CFO, Emily, she's amazing. She's like, hey, we can't do California. She goes, but do you want to grow a team and then have a job that allows you to travel? Because once I get to the point where I have a kind of self-sufficient team, I'm just managing that team. I fly into all the different areas, which I like to do. I'm weird.
No, I just know it's not weird as much as, I mean, I know how much you love to travel. So yeah.
It's that explorer in me. I love it. I just like to explore and go new things and find beauty. So beauty, exploring, and fun. Those, if you had 3 things to sum like my core values, that's it. So, it was like, this is a cool idea. Would you want to do this? And I was like, yeah, let me think about it. Cause that's giving up a lot of control, right? Because now I don't control my income. Yeah. The only way I control my income is by finding amazing people. Right. So it's been a journey. You learn things as you go. And the way that I technically transitioned was I formed a team, and I took 1.5 years to slowly move my team in position to take my relationships over, so we didn't lose relationships. And I've got fantastic girls that work with me. They just came right in, and my clients loved them. So I have a team that I can pass my people to and my referrals to. Meanwhile, I'm building my own team.
Yeah. So proud of you. Because I know your journey, and I know you, right? So right from that $1.40 cup of coffee to growing
not being able to pay an electric bill, truly.
Yeah. I don't know if Amanda's still on, and I hope she still is, but Amanda really loves your blue wall, and I do too.
Yes. So this used to be my daughter's room. Now it's a closet. I'm hiding from the dogs in my laundry room closet type thing.
There you go.
That's Ravenclaw blue, by the way. So we have that for our Harry Potter fanaticism.
Nice. Okay, last question. Hold on just real quick, because I just saw Teo pop up. Let's see if you can see this. Can you see it?
Yes. Let's do it with your knowledge. So my knowledge of commercial finance, Teo, is like nada. Man, do I know residential, but I have lots of but you know what? I have I have lots of people that are good at commercial. Sure. So I can go talk to them about that. I'm not knowledgeable in commercial.
Yeah, and it's sounding like you and Teo need to connect at some point.
I think so for sure, Teo. Let's definitely do that.
Yeah. Okay, so last question. When you're feeling down, which it's hard for me to imagine you feeling down, but you're human. So when you're not your normal bubbly self, right? Mm-hmm. What do you do? Is there a book, a poem, a song, dancing? What do you do to get out of a funk?
So if my family notices that I'm in a funk, and it doesn't happen very often, so when it does happen, they're like, what's going on? They know the trick. They turn on salsa music, and the boys will just give me their hand, because that's all I need. It's just a hand. Just turn on salsa music and let me dance. And in about 10 minutes, I'm smiling. So it just lets all that stress just melt away. So yes, music. And if I don't have my family around next to me, I have a very quick music. This is so dumb. So I really like epic movie music, like the soundtrack to Avengers, or
me too.
Hans Zimmer. Like, I love Hans Zimmer. And you can't be feeling like you can't accomplish something when you have Hans Zimmer playing in the like Gladiator soundtrack, So if I'm feeling like puny and like I can't do something, I force myself, and sometimes you have to force yourself. Like, I force myself to go put on that epic movie music so I can be epic. I'll do it like when I'm doing dishes, and I'm like epically putting my dishes in the dishwasher. But yeah, that's how.
There you go. Everybody has a sneak peek into your kitchen.
Yes, I am so glad that you guys can't see me in my kitchen. It would be very embarrassing.
So another great connection will be Anna. Anna, I hope I'm pronouncing your name, Anna versus Anna, from Alabama. One of the places you want to grow a team, and she's got a crazy amount of connections in banking. Awesome. So there you go.
That's awesome.
So hey, Gretchen.
Yay.
So Gretchen was on my live last week. She is a colleague. She's a coach. So awesome. Another amazing female. So as we're stopping and ending, go ahead and let everybody know how to find you. Where can they find you?
So pretty easy. Charlotte Harrell. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on Facebook, and I'm on Instagram. Probably the best way would just be charlotteharrell.com. Just my name, spelled just like the city. And then Harrell has 2 R's and 2 L's. So charlotteharrell.com takes you to my webpage. You can get all of my information, all of my LinkedIns and everything right from there. So you can find me very easily there.
Yeah. Yep. Awesome. And I mean, we've known each other many, many years. I can't wait till she moves out to California. I have a home in Southern California where I know Charlotte wants to be. And then I have a daughter that just snuck her, you know what, up to Oregon with the grandbaby. So I spend a lot of time up here now too. And that's where I'm at right now. So anyway, thank you everybody for showing up. It was a lot of fun. We learned some stuff. Charlotte, you have amazing stories, so we can always do a part 2 with, I know there's a lot more there. I'm going to have to drink coffee before I get on.
Little caffeine helps.
Little caffeine will help.
That's
Absolutely.
right.
Yeah.
That's
All right, everybody. Thank you.
Thanks
for showing
everybody.
up.